Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to another special series on my YouTube channel. This would be the first episode where I will compare two nibs. This time, the nibs are from the same producer, Soennecken. And you know this piece, this is my Grail pen. It's a Soennecken 111 Extra made in Germany in the early 50s. The beautiful pattern you can see of the celluloid is called herringbone, and it is in this quite dark shade. I say dark shade because I recently bought a broken, also herringbone pattern, but a light pattern. And what I found interesting, of course, you know that I'm in love with the nib of this one. This is a double oblique broad nib. And an interesting trait of the Soenneckens is that they have imprinted on the feed the size of the nib. So we have here a BBS, a double oblique broad nib. I will compare today this nib with this nib. It's the same Soennecken nib with the crown, you can see, with 5 points, 14 karat 585. But the main difference, it is in the size of the nibs, the way the tins are cut. Okay, and you can see on the back of this nib, this is an M nib, a medium nib. So it will be a battle between a medium nib and a double broad oblique nib. And without further introductions, for this writing sample, I thought to myself that I need a classic ink, the Parker Quick ink. You know that this is one of my favorite inks when it comes to vintage fountain pens, because I think that it has the right amount of lubrication, and especially for the piston filling mechanisms, it is quite alright. Maybe you don't know the state of this fountain pen, and it was simply broken. You can see the pieces of the celluloid, and here you can see the other pieces. And one of the particular traits of this fountain pen, it is its filling mechanism. So I have here the turning knob. Let me put it like this. And I have the remains of the barrel. So I will start with the damage. Here is the damage part. And I think it reveals the end of the cork. You can see back there. This particular mechanism, it is a quite interesting mechanism in the sense that it is a click mechanism. So you can see on this rod 2 points, and I hope you can let me see if you can see them. So if you look closely, there are 2 points, and this particular fountain pen, I don't know where it was kept, but it has damage by rust here, and you can see also on the brass we have rust. You can see those 2 holes from there. So those 2 holes from there corresponded with the other holes from here, and it made a click sound. This was meant to be a 2-step process. So first you turn this till you hear the click sound, and then you unscrew it back. It was ingenious, and it was called the click filling mechanism. I think that my pristine model has also the click mechanism, but I don't know how to operate it yet, and I'm sorry for that. I tried to do my research, but there is a lot of videos out there, and I can't afford to experiment with this fountain pen. You saw what could happen if you try to abuse the fountain pen or try to make it something that it doesn't want to do. Although it is renowned for the quality of the celluloid, and you can see the thickness of the celluloid, someone managed to break the other fountain pen. And I'm sorry for that, but in a way, I was happy because I could get the fountain pen at a reasonable price. So guys, I'm sorry for this long intro, but it is important because I want you to know that I will simply dip the fountain pens. I don't know how to fill it yet. Of course, I could fill it with a syringe because this fountain pen made by Soennecken in the early 1950s has the same characteristics as a Pelikan fountain pen, and I will show you what I mean. So just to demonstrate, I have here with me a Pelikan Souverain M800, and let me get a zoom on it. It has this beautiful 18 karat nib. I think this is filled with ink, so I will do this carefully. So I'll simply grab it and I will turn the body the other side. So this is the section, and I told you it's quite similar with the early Soennecken, and you can see that the barrel is exposed, so I can insert here a syringe and deliver the content of ink from the syringe to the reservoir of ink in the barrel. And I could do that also for the Soennecken. I'm sorry, let me put it back to its original state. Okay, I have some ink on my fingers, but it is not a problem. Okay, now guys, I am ready to do the battle between the light herringbone and the dark herringbone, but not just the celluloids, but the nibs. They are legendary nibs, and they are quite expensive nibs. I was offered for this 250 euros, and I bought the whole broken fountain pen for 140 euros. So good trade. And I'm in love with Soennecken. What can I say? And this nib, the oblique double broad nib, you will see it is wonderful. So guys, I will start the battle with the M nib, and let me show you how I do it. So gently, okay, you can see I rotate the body and the nib unit. It is easily to be removed. You can see the transparency of this celluloid is quite interesting. Let me fit it with the other, okay, the other nib. You can see quite an elongated nib. I like the way it presents itself. So I have here the Parker Quick Ink. Let me zoom out. Okay. So I will simply dip it in ink. Okay. Let me take these parts out of the scene. And then I will do the writing sample. So I just clean this part. Okay. So guys, I will bring it to you. And first of all, Soennecken, one extra, and this particular nib is a 14 karat 585 M gold nib. By the way, the Soennecken is produced in Germany, and I will say it's from 1952 approximately. Let me see if we have some line variations. So and you can see no flex. Let me test how wet this nib is. Quite wet and juicy. Let me see how we can sign with this review. Quite nice. Let me do the pressure test. So here we have no pressure and here pressure. So we have a little bit of line variation. Let me do also the reverse writing. So reverse writing. It scratches a bit, but I think that this is an extra fine size of the writing, but it isn't designed for reverse writing, this is for sure. Let me zoom because I want to show you if the tines move one from each other. So yes, but not visible difference, no. And the pangram, let me see here. Yes, I'm sorry, I need a little bit of ink. It appears that okay, let me start again. So the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So this, guys, was the written sample with the M nib. I will take it from the body and I will equip the fountain pen with the double oblique broad nib, the original nib of this fountain pen. Okay. There are 2 drops of ink here and I don't have a tissue at hand, so I will remove it by hand. Now I will do the same dipping procedure like I did with the M nib. So let's see how a double oblique nib writes. So I hope you can see both of them. This was the first one, and now I'm writing with the double oblique nib. So a Soennecken 111 extra, made in Germany in the early 1950s. This time we have a 14 karat 585 double oblique broad nib, gold nib, oblique double broad, and you definitely can see a line variation. So not a flexi nib, no flex, but definitely a line variation in comparison with the other nib. Okay, let me do the juicy test, and you can see the traits of oblique nib. This is quite narrow and this is quite broad. Yes, I was expecting a juicy nib. The signature review, and let me test also the reverse writing. So reverse writing, it is quite strange because in reverse writing it seems like an F or maybe an M nib, and in comparison with the other nib, this doesn't scratch when we reverse write with it. Okay, let me do the pressure test. So here no pressure and here we have pressure. Not a lot of line variation. In general, the oblique nibs have a sweet spot and you must find it before you continue. Let me do also and I will zoom for this. Let me see if the tines, yes, at these nibs, at this particular nib, the tines move slightly from the other nib. It is a trait of this oblique nib. Let me do the famous phrase with the fox, and I'm ready. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So guys, let me show you the results of our writing battles, and I will try to compare them. So my favorite of them all is the double oblique broad nib. It is quite a lovely nib, and I think you know that I'm in love with the oblique nibs. First of all, I liked the nibs from the 1910s, 1920s, 1930s, especially those from Waterman that were quite flexible. But in the 1950s, in Germany, they were quite popular, the oblique nibs. I saw oblique medium, oblique broad, but nowadays the obliques aren't such a popular nib. But it was the right compromise between a stiff nib and a flexible nib. So it has some line variation. You can do some stuff with this type of nib that you can't do with a simple classic nib, an M nib or an F nib. So guys, this was my battle between two rare nibs from a quite rare and famous fountain pen. Unfortunately, the Soennecken didn't have such commercial success. It was designed to compete with one of the most famous and expensive lines from that time, and I'm talking about the Mont Blanc Masterpiece line. Indeed, this fountain pen has the same size as a Mont Blanc 146 from the 50s. I will do a future episode where I will do a direct battle between a Soennecken nib and a Mont Blanc nib from the same period, the early 1950s. Of course, one of the nibs will be this nib with the size M, and the Mont Blanc will have a size F nib. But I hope it will be a fair comparison between two products of the same period. Guys, that was a preview. This was my episode. I want to wish you to have a nice day wherever you are. I hope you've enjoyed this rare battle between two rare products of the Germany in the early 1950s. If you've enjoyed this battle and you want to see other battles or other nibs compared, please write in the comments and subscribe to my channel. I will see you again at the next episode. Till then, bye bye and have a nice day, friends.